Hello, it's a high-tech video today. Those are puppies on the back wall, and I'm going to tell you the history of all the great triumphs for those families that we closed on the other day, that were in Rome and launched the Roman Empire, which was the biggest empire on the globe before Her Majesty's, which now runs the Puppy Fund and the British Legion entirely for profit. So this is George Lee's, and this is my safe house. Cannot tell you whose it is. Anyway, let me get on with the next video, or the follow-up to what we've already done. Okay, hear the Roman music? Let's get rid of it. Let's just tell you the truth.
Problems with your web?
Okay, so let's start with the family tree that I was going to show you the other day, and show you where Clovis is. Remember that Clovis, the ancestor of the man called Charlemagne, there are several of them on the bloodline, or a couple of them on the bloodline up near the top. That is the launch of the Louis family of the Bourbon dynasty in Versailles, Marie Antoinette, and there is John Paul Getty, and he is one of the Forbes rich listers. That's the junior one. The even younger one than him had, I think he's number 3. He has a terrible set of afflictions. He's been totally dismembered by drug addiction, and you can look that up on the internet if you wish. But these are the Gettys of Rome. Yet these are the Gettys that were the Roman emperors. Gettas, tiny derivations of the names, but you can see why the Getty family would admire the Piso family, who would be picking them as emperors, and were already the money lenders in that ancient place that is Rome and Naples, and the coins in those places that were released from the Piso Frugi mints were called asses, after the Jesus that they launched into the Bible jokes. Okay, and that's this one. Lived like Arius Calpurnius Piso in the Villa Papyri, but this time in Palm Beach, or across there in the Gulf of Mexico, where there are no volcanoes and they're much safer, but they get massive tornadoes and weather storms and tsunamis from the coast. So that's Sir John Paul Getty Jr. And I'll try and find the picture of the Gettys on here. Oh God, I might never be able to get it. Oh no, there's another image in the thing of a lineage for Getty, and there is the picture of that rounded faced bloke. That's Geta, Caracalla, Septimus Severus, Julia Domna, Julia Mesa, Julia Marnea. It's terrible. Alexander Severus. I believe that he was the last one to be on active duty in Britain. So that's the Severan dynasty, and there is the plump looking Geta ancestor that was the Roman emperor at one time. Septimus Severus is the one who was, I think, based in Miss Jean Brodie's lovely place. I've got a video, I'm going to upload it this evening, so you can all watch it. That is the place that is Cramond and the fascist hub. So quickly, I'm going to today indulge in conspiracy theories, and the least compelling evidence that I have is of the ancestry of these people, because remember that they're all interbred like the Rothschilds have done with the monarchs. Even way back then, there's not a mention of Piso up there on the top left. Mesa, Claudius Aper, Fulvia Pia. There we have the indication that that might be the Piso influence already. Septimus Geta, yeah, and there is the image of Geta. That's another one further down the bloodline. Okay, Publius Septimus Ghetto, that's Publius Piso, yeah, and all the names intertwine, yeah, and that makes it ever so complicated, like it is with the British monarchy even today. Yeah, they take on false names when you get not sainted like the MacKillops, but when you get your recognition that you're going to be a knight of the realm or a lord of the realm, you become a lord of this, that and the other, and you put in all sorts of hyphens so that you cannot be found on the business register. Yeah, and they dare not put photos of the individuals on the business register. The Roman Empire crimes are so ancient now that it has just become academic activity. So forgive me for the speculation, but I'll take you now straight to the pages that I've got on OneNote and show you that so there is a page entitled Aguilera, Aurelius and Cotter, okay, and this is me searching for Billy Bass, because in the Up Pompeii movie with that buffoon there, Billy Bass played Arius Calpurnius Piso, and that is the actor that was in Snudge, Bootsy and Snudge, and he also may have been in that comedy. Yeah, but that is the joke for Tony Blair and the Lib Dems who died really young, that there's a Bass photograph or tiny little statuette hanging on the back wall of Tony Blair's. Yeah, and if you tell them that you've been to see Tony Blair's fish, or John Prescott's fish, maybe it was. John Prescott has the fish in his office, and that is the joke about the fish being the penis, and when they use that terminology, all of them understand that Tony Blair, the mass murderer, is involved in the plot. And John Prescott, as Deputy Prime Minister, has the word Piso in his name, and all of them are sad bastards, but they make it, the whole of our world, a comedy scene. Yeah, that's what it is now. Effectively there is no governance. All of them are covering up the secrets that almost all of them are from these elite families that are still in place in Hollywood, on the TV, as celebrities, as politicians, or as prime ministers and presidents, and it's really sick. Okay, so Cotter has been the Scottish rugby captain, okay, and he is in the bloodlines, and there we have the Getas, Publius Septimus Geta, Septimus Severus, 193 to 211, that is the last vestiges of the Roman Empire in Scotland at that crammed place. I'm going to release the video tonight. Okay, Caracalla, and I've got pictures of the people that I believe will be descended from them. I think Caracalla is the man that was Steve McQueen. Yeah, the images are compellingly like, but when you look for all these names, because of the interbreeding that we've described in video 1 for Prof. Lees, yeah, this is video 2 for Prof. Lees, there's Geta, and another couple of Getas are on the map somewhere else, and there's the Bassianus, yeah, that is the Billy Bass jokes, that they are the Piso relatives, and that's why he plays Arius Calpurnius Piso in that movie. But you cannot find it now because they are onto the fact that I'm onto them. Okay, Elgibalus and Publius Septimus Geta, Gaius Septimus Aper, Publius Septimus Ghetto in 2 generations back to back. Okay, so these maps are absolutely fascinating. Sorry, the family trees, because you can find all the links to the people that are now my friends in the investigative journalist sector. So Marcia and the Marcian lineage is the family of Field McConnell. Yeah, his sister is called Marcia, Marcy, I think, and that is the fabulous boxer that was a champion before Muhammad Ali came on the scene, and I believe that he was also in these family bloodlines. So that's Rocky Marciano, yeah, and a legendary, I think he was of French origin, yeah, ever so fabulous history, and all of it is totally corrupted. Okay, and there is the fact that Anna Aurelia Galeria Faustina is the daughter of Marcus Aurelius. This tab that we're on here is the Christina Aguilera genealogy tab. Okay, and she's got the Faustinas on her bloodline. That is the daughter of Marcus Aurelius and wife of Gnaeus Claudius Severus. Yeah, there was another, he's got many daughters, Marcus Aurelius, which tells you that his wives are nicer people than him, if my theories are believable. Very simplistic. Goodness knows who all the fathers are. Yeah, there's probably Piso blood in all of them. Annia Aurelia Galeria Lucilla, that is the daughter Lucilla that is in the Gladiator film. Yeah, and she travels all across Germania just in time to see her father murdered by her brother Commodus. But her brother Commodus is not mentioned on this. Oh yes, he is. Lucius Aurelius Commodus Antoninus, son of Marcus Aurelius, emperor from AD 177 to 192. It's fabulous, isn't it? I forget what the actor was that played him, but I've not looked at their bloodlines yet. Okay, Harris, that played Marcus Aurelius, is the obvious joke that all of them that descend to Harris, Harrison, and all the derivatives of it, yeah, that is the reason that I looked for Christina Aguilera, is that she's got the Christian joke and she's got the Aguilera, yeah, moniker that suggests that it is related to all of this, and she sings the song Genie in a Bottle, and it will be ever so difficult for me to find her tree there, but let's do it just to show you. And this is the reason I'm looking down this line, is to show you the stuff about the Cotters that are the rugby managers for Scotland. Oh God, and it's all seized up on me. Let's try another way of shifting it. So there's Christine Aguilera Genie. She's a beautiful woman. That's the video that I'm not going to play in case we get copyrighted. Genie in a bottle. Okay, she wants someone to release her from these horribly ambitious secrets that they keep. Yeah, the secret cannot be kept now. It's coming out, and some of it is absolute. When I show you the role that Rowan Atkinson plays in this story, if it is him, it's absolutely sickening. Sorry, I'll just put that down and see if I can make this move. So there is the findings that on Christina Maria Aguilera's tree you have several links to a family that are Calderons, and that is the volcanic fear factor for all of them, and she is the daughter of a fiddler, and the fiddlers were my bosses at Sunderland University. And it's just amazing. And then they were under the thrall of the Putnam family. That is the launch of the know-nothings that I've told you all about. All of the totally irresponsible manipulation of politics to make it laughable and to fit the template that is Emperor Augustus, who trained King Herod how to execute and how to pretend that all of the false news they release about Jesus is actually true, and that King Herod was in the Roman court in this era, and there are the Faustos that are related to Aguilera on our family tree. I can't shoot the fiddler evidence is further up. Okay, and there is Atkinson. I'm not sure why I've got him on that thing, because I've got another tab further along. Oh, maybe that's just a still. Anyway, let's scan to the bottom just in case I've missed anything. Yeah, so here's the Aurelia gens, a plebeian family at Rome. The first member of the gens who obtained the consulship was Gaius Aurelius Cotta. Yeah, friendly looking face from fucking Australia. Yeah, Australia, the Austrian master races, the Aryan blonde master races. He was the Scottish rugby manager, and managed to get Jim Le Count de Telfair, yeah, who's in William the Conqueror's armies, a job, because he's hard up. Jim Telfair, my mate at Melrose, he worked with Miss Jean Brodie, yeah, if she actually was at that school, the Marcia Blaine School. Do you get it? That's the Marcia links of Field McConnell's sister to the world-owning emperor bloodlines that were launched by Augusta. Yeah, that's Donald's golf joke, and he was the pick for Scotland's manager. The new pick is a relative of Sir Walter Scott, and his name is Townsend, and I've got him all over the family tree that Walter Scott's family are on, and they go right back to William the Conqueror too. Yeah, and this is Vern Cotter and the Souters that are in the Rab C. Nisbet jokes that I cited yesterday on the bloodlines. So there's Marcus Aurelius, yeah, just about to be killed by his son because he wanted to make the gladiator from Spain the next emperor, and that is what Emperor Augustus, with the help of Herod, was able to do. They are able to make unelected decisions. They bypass all of the Senate, and they get the leaders that are closest to the family picks of the PISO family, who are the most powerful lineage in world history. Yeah, and they've got their cars parked down there outside that building, the Centre for Life. Yeah, and all of it is massive, and they are also right next door to the police station. Yeah, that is the polis, the PISO polis that were launched by the PISO family all those years ago. Okay, right, so down we go, and that gives you a clue, incidentally, to where I'm living. Yeah, I don't know if they dare confront me now with the things that are happening with all the pathologies, and all my friends, yeah, that have been disloyal are being afflicted by that, and they were even in New Zealand. Now that I look back, my student Brad Sutherland, who came across here, he already had a heart murmur in his early 20s across there, and that is likely to be the Sutherlands of the sending the colonists to the colonies, and all of it is a massive tragedy. She, the Sutherland woman, the Duchess, is on the Montefiore boards, and the Montefiore thing was the family that caused the Palmer death on the drugs abuse. That is the Montefiores of the south coast of England, who were the first in-laws of Nathan Mayer Rothschild, who launched the Bank of England after the Battle of Waterloo, and on and on and on the fraud stories go. Okay, so I'm getting a bit off the trail of that family tree, but there's the Calderon fiddler, yeah, and that is Christina Aguilera's mum is Shelley Lorraine Kearns fiddler. There's nothing evil about that, it's just a statement, and you can see that it's true. And the Foss and Faustinas are not nearly so numerous as they are in their bloodline that they're in, as the bloodlines that Marcus Aurelius is in. They're all over those acute transcripts that are based on evidence that is 2,000 years old. Yeah. Right, so what next? So I promised to show you on the bloodline yesterday that it was going to be, so where is, so that's John Paul Getty in, so there's his brother or his parents and his grandparents. So John Paul Getty the first named his villa in America as the Villa Papari, and it was exactly the same layout as the layout in America, in Naples for Piso. Okay, and that one looks like an intellectual man, and I've got no idea what they are, but I think they've disappeared off the Forbes list just now. But can you see the links of the power base to all of the leading families and to that biggest name in world history, which is very little known about actually. The Piso family, when you tell people this, in the vast majority of listeners, none of them have ever heard of it before. But when you show them the links to the Bush family, and I've got the bloodlines for Paul McCartney's family tree, and that takes you into the jokes about religion that are one of my favourite movies of all time. Oh, they're going to cover that up. Sorry. So John Mills and Heather Mills are married into McCartney, and when you look up on Jeannie, Lord McCartney of Liverpool, the massive influential moneylender that was the friend of the Muhammad Ali in India, that is the Jagier regime in Southeast Asia, and that is the Jagiers of Poland and Austro-Hungary. That is Mick Jagger there on the bloodline, but I cannot find the bloodline. I might have to look it up again. Emperor Proculus bust, that's the thing we've just looked at. I'll get rid of the Severan dynasty and John Paul Getty, and so John Mills, no, none of it. So I'm going to have to look up the family tree again. You can do this for yourself, please do, and copy it so that if they take it down off the internet as an embarrassment, you can always share it with me. I've opened another one somewhere on those tabs that are about all of the American presidents being on those elite bloodlines, and almost all of them are related to Charlemagne. He's the world's biggest killer with the launch of those massive Austro-Hungarian, so that one I can get rid of too. That's the Holland person that is in yesterday's story, and that's his plane that got hit by lightning. Yet the Hollands are part of the Longshanks intermarriages and the relations. They were in the Dutch sector at that time, but they are massive mobsters, and he and Ségolène Royal have been immune from prosecution, even although I've published all of their great sins on the banking sector in Cheapside in London and the European Development Bank. Yeah, his wife got a massive salary from that. Nobody actually took on it as a law case. Yeah, and he was able to be president through all of that time, and the new president is in the French-American Foundation with all the war criminals in Iraq. Yeah, and he's a former Rothschild banker, but I'm getting way off the track. New tab, let's get Piso, Windsor, Bush bloodline. Okay, there are dozens of these actually, and every time I open it I'm never very sure which one I'm going to get, and all of them have got the same players at the top. MT Flavius Sabinus, Mariam Cecina the Younger, Silius Domitus, yet all the Silius stuffs for Frankie Howard. Can you see how they revel in it? Gaius Calpurnius Piso married Lucius Calpurnius, yeah, and that's them breeding with each other now, Let's have a look at that one. But way back then, it does not change a lot. Okay, from the David Icke website, I'd like to express my gratitude to him if he is still alive. Yeah, what they've done now is to get rid of all his common sense commentaries on the Queen's massive wealth and how she's on these bloodlines, and the new David Icke pretends that all of them are from outer space. You don't need to be a space travellers to be in the Star Wars team. You just need to be an actor and to have the gall to kill people with no conscience. Okay, that's where we started off yesterday. Berenice, Ptolemy Souter, and Arsinoe, Cleopatra, and then we get down to King Herod the Great. There he is, married to Mariam already, and already in Rome, yeah, training with Emperor Constantine as to how to be a buffoon, unelected, and to pick your friends as the next emperor. Yeah, that's the first emperors in Rome, yeah, after they had topped Julius Caesar, who has exactly the same initials as Jesus Christ, and there he is on the bloodline. Yeah, he's not able to sire children because they're not friends with the Piso, and Nero was murdered by Piso, and Nero murdered the father of, or the one who was not able to sire Arius Calpurnius Piso, because they were enemies, and all of that involves the black slave Epaphrodites. Yeah, and let's keep going, and let's find you now where that mystery name was that is Clovis, that is linked to Lewis. And I've now got all of the trees sectored up, so I can go into Poland, I can go into Kaiserbill, I can find Barbarossa, the mass murderer who was the Holy Roman Emperor and is in all those Hollywood movies of the Pirates of the Caribbean, and the Barbarossas still being villains in all the buffoonish movies that they make, entirely funded by the world's poor people. Okay, so Clovis, Constantinus I Chlorus, that is the launch of the Louises, the Louis dynasty of Bourbon, and they are Theodoras, and by that time they have built massive domes and massive structures in Constantinople, which become the false religion for Piso of Islam. Yeah, that is the massive place that is Sarajevo, and the emperors that get killed there are the Holy Roman emperors, and that is the launch of World War I. Yeah, on the Hume Bridge for the pacifists of the borders, and there we have Valentinian and Justina. So Clovis, yeah, it's the cloven hoof joke, and the little joke that even Hillary Clinton and Shania Twain make, that they've got the three fingers, and it's the catcher's mitt for the man that I'll show you on the pictures later on, that is the emperor, or could be the emperor, that was the Great Escape hero. All of them are in those same teams, pretending that they're fighting against enemies. They are fighting their friends entirely for profit. They run all the munitions industry, and they arrange that they are able to escape from Colditz and the Stalag place that is the Great Escape movie, and Steve McQueen is in my conspiracy theories later on. I'm reluctant to release them, but I think it could start a trend of people beginning to confess that they are from those families. Yeah, Arcadius Claudius Claudianus, Eudoxites Siga, and here we've got the Merovingian dynasties coming in. And I should not really be doing this on these maps again, but there's another two Clovises, and you can see the child companies beginning to come in. That is the Rothschilds and the Clotildas, and they are the ancestors of Hillary Rodden Rose Clinton. Yeah, okay, Clothar, Redegunda, Chilperic. Yeah, and I've now tracked all the way down through those trees and I can get almost every one of the links in the chain connected now. And the massive links of George Washington, and his ancestor 3 generations back was John Washington, and he went from Tring in Hertfordshire, and the mansion in Tring in Hertfordshire is named after Eustace of Bologna in France, right next to Paris. Yeah, and all of it is just a massive set of belly laughs for him. There's Hugh Capet, Hugh the Greats, and Hedwig. You can see those are the people that become J.K. Rowling's actors and stars and role members. Okay, and you can see now that the Lewises that from the Clovis are now all over Europe and into the Bavarian master race countries in the Swiss Alps. Yeah, and right across into southern France, northern Italy, and all around that Austrian place that is Innsbruck, and notorious now for the Bruck families and for the popes and for Hitler being born into Rothschild bastard lineages in those places. Okay, so what shall we do now? Let me show you my conspiracies, because I don't think I should make it too long. And you can write to me on Facebook. I'm just George Lees on Facebook. None of this is offensive. All of it is just objective, looking at the data. And let me now show you what my mate Brian Cox represents in these family trees. Yeah, he's got an inbuilt sense of humour. I think I met him in the local Sainsbury's car park when I was trying to track him down, and before I did eventually find him on Anglo. Oh, we should find them. Before we go away from that, let's find the Souters, yeah, and Jamesy. So we've Jamesy Souter is Rabsy Nisbet's mate, and they are right up at the top. Souter. It might be up above the Pharaohs. There they are. Yeah, right back as far as you can go. So Jamesy Souter in the Rab C. Nisbet movies, comedies, total buffoonery, is married to the ancestors of King Herod, the Arsenault, yeah, and all of the Pharaoh bloodlines that descend from Alexander the Great and Philip of Macedonia, yeah, and Roxanne, and that's the singing of all of the songs by the Police, yeah, from the Northumberland region that I'm now in, and that is, yeah, that is the red light for the prostitution sector. That is these totally corrupted families, yeah, that are totally prepared to murder even their relatives to keep the power base that they now have. Okay? Yeah, they own the news, they own the banks, they own the media, they own the land, they own the weapons production, and they own the issuance of money all over the globe. And that was just completed after the Iraq war that Tony Blair engaged in. He's not on the bloodline to my knowledge. Okay, right then. So what was it? So that is Souter, and that is Brian Souter, the sister of the bus magnate, the Scotland's richest woman, Anne Gloag, is the sister of Brian Souter, and they have the biggest bus company in the world, and that is the Aristobulus jokes, and all the jokes about the buses being in the aristocracy story, yeah, and that is the Pharaohs too. Okay, so what were we going to do? We're going to take you to my conspiracy theories. Okay. And Brian Cox is in there too, and he has got, I think he's got a conscience. Yeah, he's had all the statues of the Roman emperors taken out of the foyer in the National Gallery in Edinburgh in Princes Street, and all of them are locked in the basement now, so we cannot find out who he really is. Yeah, and he makes posters and broadcasts all of that. And that tab there, I've been trying to find the Roman emperors that are named polio, because that is Bill Gates's ambition to get rid of polio. Yeah, with all his research. So do you get it? All of the rich list members have come out of Frankfurt in the ghettos when they became Jews, and all the Jews that write the Bible are the people that launched Jesus and Christianity into the whole world, and that is Rebekah Piso, one of the world's cleverest ever men. Okay? Right, so where is the Roman? Here it is. Okay, so that's the sickest bit of the lot. You recognise him? Yeah? The Blackadder comedian. That is the snake again. That is the adders. The Blackadder and the Whitadder are rivers in my hometown, and you should go to the graveyards in Berwickshire and see how many people failed to return from the great conflicts that they all laugh about. Yeah, that is running for your country on a Sunday for Putnam, and the jokes about that are chariots of fire, and these are all charioteers from fucking Rome. Forget what he's... Let's go from the top down. Okay, so there is Billy Connelly. Yeah, Roman Emperor Antoninus Pius. Yeah, that's the Antonine Wall in Scotland, and wrote the biggest buffoon in Scotland. Yeah, I thought he might be the Proculus character that I found, who's also related to that issue of polio. Yeah, can you see how it's all linked to the richest people and the celebrities all over the world? And he giggles like a schoolgirl all the time, and that is Antoninus Pius, the same name as Martin McGuinness died for. Yeah, bust sculpture, identical reproduction. Please upgrade, and that is the Antonine Wall that was built as a legacy for him in Scotland, and that is the joke. Yeah, okay. And the Connellys have tracked me all around the world. One of the most intelligent students I ever known, and I believe his facial structure was the basis for the launch of Snowden into Russia, and Snowden as being the rector for Glasgow University, because my mate Kenneth Kalman Rothschild was the boss there. Yeah, and that is all of the false news and all of the stuff that we got. And Kenneth Kalman was my collaborator when I left Durham University. He was the chancellor there, and he was the man that made me an honorary professor at that university. Yeah, he now regrets it. And let's go down and show you Caracalla. I think I've given this away. There he is, Steve McQueen, Caracalla. Okay, and goodness knows what Caracalla did or what era he lived in, but you can look it up for yourself and you can find better candidates, because remember, all of the bastards are inbred. Yeah, multiple wives, almost all of them on that bloodline. Yeah, concubines, the ones that get sainted, have already killed the pagan ones. Okay, so do you get it? Steve McQueen with the catcher's mitt. Yeah. Clovis, all of them descended from Clovis, right up near to the launch of Constantinople for Emperor Constantine the Great. He's a great big ugly man, and I think the closest likeness for me is him. I'm not going to show you that. Right then, so remember, this is just a conspiracy. I'm still a scientist. if any of you can give me their gene pools and their family trees and come out with confessions on Facebook, I'd be delighted, but please use pictures. Yeah, and give some objective evidence. So this is Caracalla, and that's just for my archive. So let's move down to Marcus Aurelius. This is hilarious until they die. Okay, there is Martin Pius McGuinness. Yeah, the Piso family name that at least 12 popes have used up to this point in world history. That's Pope Pius XII was the Nazi mass murderer and Nazi launderer, yeah, and all of those crimes became the Balkans War because everybody is still looking for revenge. That one is a McGuinness too, but he's Niall McGuinness, and that is him playing Zeus for a laugh, yeah, in my favourite movie, that is Zeus and Hera meeting Jason of the Argonaut boat, yeah, and him then committing to his world diaspora to find the golden fleece, yeah, as if the gods, yeah, were interested in sponsoring the asset stripping of other countries by more warmongering countries. Yeah, that's why it's such a big laugh for them. Yeah, and there is Marcus Aurelius. Yeah, and Martin Pius McGuinness below. The Nile name is the naming of the Nile because that means Piso in whatever the North African, the Egyptian language is. Yeah, and that is the Nile Valley that was the Pishon. When the story got out, they had to change it. Yeah, do you see it now? And all of the relatives of Bush are Nile that are in those massive comedies that have got Pierces in them, and that is Niall, the brother of the psychiatric doctor in the comedies that are the Cheers bar. Yeah, and round the whole of world history they go, and you can see when he's got his beard on that he is quite a close likeness to. Okay, and that's another terrorist. Yeah, and so do you get the irony of it? That is them parodying the gods, but it's still a beautiful movie, and it still inspires me that the gods are on your side. And I believe I've had many more than 5 opportunities to get their help already. Thank you for that. That's the 5 mafia families in New York sharing the joke that the gods in the heavens are prepared to give you 5 opportunities to make it to your goals. And that for the Rothschilds is obvious. That's the arrows, yeah, and it is absolutely massive. It's the 5 news agency that I've watched on Fox News through all of my time as an activist. Okay, so let's go on with the conspiracies. And this is, yeah, the woman that drives the yellow van is Faustina the Younger, the wife of Emperor Marcus Aurelius. And this is not a great likeness, and many of the statues of Faustina are busted. Remember that this is the Fausts that are in Aguilera's family tree with the calderas, yeah, and that is gold coin of Faustina II, and that's a bust of Emperor Antoninus Pius, yeah, again using that key word that they are directly descended from that Piso family line. Yeah, can be quite lethal, as Martin McGuinness found out within 6 weeks of the diagnosis of his blood cancer. Okay, so where is the picture of my conspiracy? I think I might have just added it on. She's quite a plain looking woman, like Miss Manning and Buller. Okay, bust of Lucilla, wife of the Roman Emperor Lucius Verus, 160 to 170 ED, I'm not sure what that is. And there is the Bolognas, and I've just told you something about the Bolognas being the Eustaces of Boulogne, and that is the folk that owned the Tring mansion yeah, before Nell Gwyn and the ancestors of George Washington. Yeah, and round it goes. I did not find it in the family tree for you. This is a very dismembered and disjointed video. I hope you're able to stay the pace. Okay, and there's Faustina and Aurelius, yeah, and that is that beautiful little woman that sings all those songs about being a genie in a bottle and being released from it. Yeah, I'm doing my best, miss. Okay, and I think there's a couple of pictures at the bottom, and one of them, it's quite stunning. As soon as I saw it, I thought of my friends the Bretts, who will be related to the Bretts of Esher and are the owners of those homes that Craig Chalmers, also from Melrose Rugby Club, went down. He became the coach at Esher. There's Faustina Minor, and there is Empress Faustina, okay, married to Marcus Aurelius too. And on those bloodlines in those little blue boxes, so this is the girl that looks like my closest friends in Tring in Hertfordshire. Yeah, younger Faustina. Belinda Brett, her mum, walked all the way to sectarian religious Ireland carrying gravestones for the cemeteries up there. Yeah, and it's just a fabulous story, and the likeness is uncanny. Okay, and they were linked to Clive of India through the massive house that was used by Queen Victoria, sadly. Yeah, one of the victims of the Rothschilds' sex crimes. Quickly, let's get to the bottom of this list, and I can get back to more objective stuff tomorrow. I was going to show you the pictures of Gaultier and tell you the story. I'll do that if we've got time. Yeah, that's Gaultier and all. So there's Niall McGuinness. Yeah, and that is him in that Jason and the Argonauts movie. It is my favourite all time. You should watch it and see how gentle the gods are and how they have teams of players. Yeah, not dogmatically one god. Yeah, and now the Virgin Mary being his mother. Yeah, all of it is totally twisted, and I don't know how the Christians have gotten away with it for so long. Okay, so here's Poppea, and this time it's, yeah, the woman that I met at Magdalen College, Oxford. Yeah, and she was sat next to me at the dinner, pretending to be a neuroscientist, and she carried the conversation brilliantly, and she now tours around in a yellow van, and the sun's come pouring out whenever. Okay, so she's I think married, or the daughter of Marcus Aurelius. Let's see at the top. Oh, I've not written anything. So can you see the poppies in her hairdo? Can you see the pie for pious in her hairdo? Can you see the poppies are down below? These are the poppies and the poppias that were married to Nero. Nero had Gaius Piso murdered, and that was the man that should have been the real father of Arius Calpurnius Piso, and he had him murdered using his black slave Aphroditus, and I think it was poison that they gave him. So she now rides around in the Rothschild yellow van, pretending to see the Virgin Mary, and all of that happens with the man and my wife used to visit regularly in North Yorkshire, where the English treason happens. Yeah, that's the Barnard Castle region, and I forget the name of the poofy guy that helps her get back into her Rothschild yellow van. She played the fascist Miss Jean Brodie, and she was based at the place that I'm going to upload the video tonight, that is Cramond, the creme de la creme for the European people, and that is Jim Telfer, the Scottish rugby coach, who was Count de Telfer, yeah, in William the Conqueror's massive armies that took over the whole of Britain and never allowed us to have an Anglo-Saxon king or queen. The kings and queens of Wessex are related to the Blacketts of Newcastle, and it's fascinating because all of my students are in those families, and sadly some of the people that have got terrible illnesses recently that used to help me with my pharmacy career, they are also in the Blackett family trees. They have followed me around the country, and that is my best mate. He's called Hogg. I will not tell you any more. Yeah, look up Blackett family tree. They're descended from the kings and queens of Wessex. Yeah, and what they've done is to follow me around through all of my life, change their hometowns when I changed mine, and now Errington, my favourite student from this town, from Northumberland, yeah, he will not speak to me now, yeah, because he knows my power, and he went to Dunedin with me, and he was in my team the day they brought down the Twin Towers when we were working at Sunderland University just down the road there. Yeah, really nice young man, polite, now a doctor of neuroscience, will not talk to me because all of them have been sent into my life, and his mum helps George W. Bush and Michael Moore run the P&O shipping lines. Yeah, I know everything about you, Adam Errington, and there's nothing for you to hide. Yeah, there's no reason for you to hide it. Please get in touch. You might get to meet Jean Brodie at one of the dinners. Yeah, so her real name is Maggie Smith, and that gives me no leads at all for the conspiracy theories. But do you get the George Herbert, the Robertian Herbert lines? Yeah, Bertie in the King's Speech. Do you get their links now to George Herbert Poppy Bush? Yeah, and the fact that Barbara Pierce is a Percy and all of the bloodlines are the same. Yeah, and that is the Percys of Alnwick Castle, and that is them, Percy the poet, in the massive stories that killed Pete Postlethwaite. There she is, Maggie Smith, playing a drunken woman, yeah, with a wizard's hat on. I'm now the role of the wizard, because their mate that was the wizard is Gandalf the Great, and he is massive on the business register, and he's on the Rothschild payroll. That is Sir McKellen. Yeah. Okay, so, and I've not found a picture of him that resembles an emperor yet, but I'll keep looking. Okay, this is the new I forget what you call him, Daniel Craig. Okay, and that one, there's a couple of emperors that have that Mickey Mouse hairdo, and one of them looks dead like Philip Hammond, but I've forgotten to put those pictures up already. There is Emperor Caligula. Yeah, that is Caligula, that is Caligula, and that could be Caligula, yeah, in my conspiracy theory, and that is the bastard father of Arius Copernicus Piso through the loins of Mariam, his mother, that's on that bloodline. Okay, it's fascinating, and the movie about Caligula is porn, but it's from, that picture is from the Pi Interest website, and almost all of them that I've shown you so far are from that Pi Interest website, which is a giveaway that almost all of these people are Piso family descendants. Yeah. Flew in with the Queen's body double on the parachutes to celebrate the killing of all of the Anzac war dead, with Mr. Bean, the war correspondent for the Anzac war dead, playing the Chariots of Fire joke on the organ in front of a global audience, taking the piss out of the war dead. And these are the families that launch the puppy funds. Yeah, do you get it? Quite sick, don't you think? This one is on the Emperor trees. I'm pretty confident about it. He died in the Great Escape movie, and I think that means that I'm going to catch up with them over time. That's a part of me. David McCallum, he played He played Robert Louis Stevenson in the massive movie that I cannot find on any of the free vents now about the Treasure Islands films with Robert Louis Stevenson in it, and the films about Culloden, yeah, featuring the massacres of the Scottish people, and he is in both of those movies, yeah, and there's one of the Emperor's busts that is a dead ringer for him too, shot down on the railway tracks in the Great Escape movie, yeah, as they try and escape from their German mates in the profiteering Freemasonry, yeah, and that is, he then made The Man from U.N.C.L.E., and that is Uncle Desmond Morton, that was the Batman for Butcher Haig in World War I, and the Earl of Morton, they are the Earls of Morton, and that is Desmond Morton was the Batman for Winston Churchill in World War II, and that's Winston Churchill, who's the parent of the Queen and her half brother, that is Bill Clinton, and that is the cigar tube joke for Bill Clinton's secret lovers and all those false news inquests that he was pleasuring Monica Lewinsky. Winston Churchill's semen sample was in the British American tobacco cigar tube. Isn't it funny? And when it appears on Monica's skirt, it's rabbit shaped for Winston, and all the great conflicts and all the fighting on those beaches that he never engaged in sends all the other poor people there. Okay, let's get rid of the conspiracy theories, and this is a good one. You recognise him, yeah, carrying on like Billy Bass, yeah, and this, he's in the movies about Empire all over the Carry On team, and both that image and that image are Pi interest. Okay, that's from the PISO family archive that you have to log into, yeah, and give up all your personal details and all your social media sites so they can crash them if they don't like your news. That's Vespasian, the emperor, that's in the Abelard Reuchlin stories about all of them ganging up on each other around that Nero era where the emperors were being killed by PISO and vice versa. Yeah, that's 5 videos, Abelard Reuchlin. Look it up and listen carefully to the whole story, and you can look at these pictures to see what the characters actually look like. And he's got the PISO pipe on the bottom one, I think, like the President of Sweden the other day. Yeah, giveaway. Harold Wilson, the Bilderberger socialist, carries the PISO pipe. Yeah, do you get it? All through world history, the biggest cause of death, and it's just a carry on for them. Soldiers in skirts up the Khyber. And he's Sid James, if I've not mentioned that already. Do you get it? And he's got the oak leaves on his lapel too, like the German troops in World War II, and that is Thor's oak that I explained in the George Washington garden video yesterday. And there's the real Vespasian, yeah, not so like that as in the other busts, but they're, you know, you've got to remember their lifespans, and that this is just a conspiracy theory for me. Yeah, this is the sickest one, and if you see everything that that actor does and all of the dead that he laughs at in that Blackadder comedy, it's no surprise to me that his colleagues have been taken down. That is the woman that played the Flash man, I forget what his name was, the actor that played Flash in the Blackadder comedies, and Queenie, his lover, yeah, or his attempt to bang her, yeah, in the scenes. Both of them died after that, really, really young, and that is the wife of the Schindler actor, I think. Yeah. Okay, so there is Rowan Atkinson. and that is Emperor Tiberius. Well, I hope I've been telling you the names of the emperors, yeah, and it's not an absolutely compelling likeness, but that one is the best. Okay, right, now Nero, yeah, murdered by Piso, and the man who played his fiddle while Rome burned, and this is quite astounding. I used to live next door to his body double's mother-in-law, him with the biggest tits in the golfing world, Colin Montgomery, recently in divorce suits. Yeah, that's the Montgomerys that are the Dukes of Buccleuch all over the country, right into Wales, right across Scotland, right into Arran, all of those massive links to the aristocracies and the Aryan Arran Jersey. Yeah, my next door neighbour in Tring, next to the mansion for the people from Boulogne, yeah, and the relatives of George Washington, and the relatives of Rothschild, and there he is, yeah, with the pie haircut too. And for some reason, last night I was at this horrendous pub, and everybody looked as if they were drugged up and heavy with alcohol, and several of them had those hairdos that come down the side of their face like that. And I remember him who played him, Henry VIII, in that role. They are quite close likenesses to the pictures that you see above. Okay, and he's the one in the Jaws movie who compares all the injuries that they've been given by the sharks. Yeah, and it's just amazing when you look at that bloodline and you look at who's on the bloodline. The colleagues that worked with me with Adam Errington in neuroscience, one of them was Professor Annette Dolphin, and she is right next to that's the Dauphins in the bloodline that is the French Versailles monarchs and Marie Antoinette. And she knew that I was coming at this, and she knew all about the fish jokes, and she used to make little sniggly jokes with me about the fish, and some people preferring to eat it with the cheeks removed, in other words having it circumcised. Yeah, and all of that. She's a professor of neuroscience, Annie Dolphin. Yeah, all of them are brilliant people, but all of them are afflicted by being in these murderous bloodlines, and now they're quite ashamed of it, I think. Get in touch, Annie, if you want to come out for a coffee. My cheeks are still rosy and totally intact. Right then, last three on the conspiracy. Yeah, this is Jesus Christ is JC. That is Julius Caesar. He was not an emperor, because Augustine or Augustus came along a little bit too late. Yeah, he left all of his legacy to the Roman people. Yeah, then he got all those 50 knives in the back. Yeah, on the night of the long knives. Yeah, and that is a very important date. I forget what it is. It's the summer solstice or something, or the Easter solstice. And we talked yesterday about the god Saul and having the celebrations of him on Christmas Day way back in 250 AD. Yeah, that is the last of the pagan gods getting worshipped. This one is Sinatra, and this is really quite evil, because when you disassemble his name you get Tyrannus, and that is the husband or the godly presence that is alongside the massive Dutch god that is Annihila. That's the annihilation of the whole world by these murderous families. Do you get it? So that's Tyrannus. That is the naming of the TARDIS for the Doctor Who's that we are already beginning to see. Oh no, sorry, it's a James Bond character that we've seen. but the Doctor Who's are likely to be in these stories as well, but I've not gone very far in. I'm expecting my fan base and all of the people that have been worrying about me since I stopped making videos, yeah, since the Edinburgh people lost their courage, I believe, yeah. Okay, and this is Brian Cox. Okay, so Pertinax is at the top, and there is my mate Brian Cox, who drove into the Sainsbury's car park with a massive Range Rover. He's now left Scotland because he was the rector at Dundee University, and that is him gazing up at the Emperor's busts that have been taken away. If there's anything greatly embarrassing, Billy Connelly's lookalike has been taken away, and I don't know whether or not Pertinax is still there or not, or whether it was there, because he's quite an obscure emperor, but there he is. Agamemnon, yeah, and all he knows about the gods, and when he's fighting in those battles for Troy and St. Helena and all that stuff, yeah, Helen of Troy, he is farting, yeah, like yeah, he is farting like a windstorm, and that is his insight into the fact that the people on this earth get messages from the gods and they know how to interpret them. That's implying that he who played the relative of Braveheart in the movie sent Braveheart away to France and to Italy to learn how to speak those languages, and then when he meets the Queen Isabella, he's able to deploy both of them, French, Italian, and Latin too. Yeah, that is the globalist education that all of the world leaders get, and that's why all of those schools that Obama went to are also attended by Field McConnell. Do you get it now? He's in the Marcia Blaine, the Marcian bloodlines that are the queens of Rome. Yeah, and he blames his sister for being a baddie, and he's a goodie, but he never gets in touch with me since he acknowledged that my news was sensational and that we were going to talk every fortnight. But he could have been taken down, I doubt it very much. He still talks every night to all of those people that are on my Skype lists. Yeah, and that is Skype run by Murdoch. Forced to defend Scottish credentials against BBC Indie Ref 2. Yeah, he's left Scotland now. He was the rector at Dundee. He with Anne Gloag, who's right at the top of that bloodline with Souter, Jamesy Souter in Rabsy Nisbet. Yeah, he runs for Anne Gloag in the Souter bus empire that is named after Souter. Yeah, he has 70 directorates in the bus empire. That's 70 money streams. Yeah, and he was the most difficult man to find because he's got a murdered politician in all the headlines. That's the Lady Cox that was the MP in Westminster, and that is Brian Cox, and the other Cox, the other man who won the Nobel Prize for the Mars probe that Brian Cox is involved in, and all of them are just false news releases. That's Pi Interest 2. Yeah, he plays the Duke of Argyll, yeah, in the Braveheart movie, and the Jew that is Mel Gibson, he was on rehab for a time, and I believe that the gods have their way of afflicting that on all of the people that try and steal from the world. Okay, so did I show you the picture? I did show you the picture, and this is the next one. Is just someone that I've seen a likeness to, but I cannot find the. So that is Fonseca bust, Pi Interest. She's got a fabulous hairdo like the Gorgon. But let me take you now to the story that I found out about yesterday, and I mentioned in the Washington Mansion video. We must be getting short of time. 69. Yeah, I've got 10 minutes left. Let's find it and show you it. So Capet, it's the House of Capet. That is the Merovingians that we've been telling you about, and Clovis and all of the stuff. And this is about the Salic laws and eventually losing the right of women to become queens in France. Yeah, you remember how they pinched Eleanor of Aquitaine to be the queen of, was it, I forget what the name, was it Robert II? That's the Lion in Winter movie. And this is the Nestle affair. Okay, I've got it in very briefly in the video that I made yesterday about Washington Hall. Okay, Isabel of France drawn into marriage with Edward II. Yeah, that is Longshanks' son, with the poofy man who is his name is Piers, and that launches Piers Morgan into the Forbes billionaires. Gets her revenge by defaming her sister-in-laws as adulterers. Yeah, and that launches the Salic laws for over 800-year cadet branches and Popo of Grafveld, yeah, who's related to Her Royal Highness the Windsor, yeah, the Saxe-Coburg, yeah, the Battenberg. You've got loads of choices because they are aliases for the mass war crimes over several generations now in Babenhaus, Frankfurt. The adultery was performed by Gaultier, yeah, the poof, I'm led to believe, with the flowers all around him, which is the PISO icon, like floors, and yeah, all of the stuff that I've told you about the Nile. It's that translated it into different languages, and we can have thousands of belly laughs about all of our genocides all over the world as we continue to be on the Forbes rich list. The castrated lovers were, okay, this were Jean-Paul Gaultier and Dawnay. Okay, I'll show you what the real names were for the French knights. Clockface 39 steps, do you get it? That is the Big Ben, penis-like structure, and all of it is just a series of jokes, and it becomes the Tour de Nestle affair. Okay, the Tower of Nestle, the prick, yeah, the fish for Annie Dolphin, yeah, and written by John Buchan, who is the man who wrote the 39 steps about being up the clock face, the prick, the human penis, the fish, yeah, and the loaves and fishes in the Bible that the Pisos wrote. Yeah, before they imposed all of the relatives on all of the other continents across the world. Yeah, that is the Toblerone company that employed my woman, the woman that I liked so much in Hertfordshire. She worked for Nestle, yeah, and her name was I forget what it was. It's Hall. It means hell. The scandal led to torture, executions, and imprisonment. Okay, so let me show you what the scandal was. Look it up for yourself. It's absolutely massive. This is the news of all of these people. Oh, I hope I've not cut the scandal off like the castrated bits that they used. Yeah, infidelitously. Torture, executions and imprisonments with lasting consequences for the Capetan dynasty. Yet that is the Moravians giving up to the Carolingians now, then the Robertians come in, and all of it is what now they tell you David Icke believes are invaders from outer space. I believe that that man has been taken down and replaced by an inept man. Philip IV had 3 sons. Please get in touch if you want to discuss it, the real David Icke. Yeah, your influential work is really, really impressive, and I'm very proud that you have allowed others to acknowledge even the Tutsi website, which has been totally dismembered by all the governments that defend the Christianity fraud, but you've still got the bottle to keep publishing it under your name. Louis, Philip and Charles, all 3 were married. That's Philip IV had his sons married for political gain. Okay, headstrong. So The three marriages had fared differently, and all of them were to... So Philip had intended Louis to marry Joan, the eldest daughter of Otto IV, Count of Burgundy, but in the end chose Margaret, the daughter of Robert II, Duke of Burgundy, and arranged for his middle son Philip to marry Joan in 1307. His youngest son Charles married Blanche, another of Otto's daughters. That seems likely to be a German Holy Roman Emperor. Yeah, Otto Othonians is a Piso family member, and that is the Bible authors way back when, even before we had the Austro-Hungarian Holy Roman Emperors in Germany. Headstrong is said to have preferred playing real tennis to spending time with the feisty and shapely Margaret. Charles, a relatively conservative, straight-laced and stiff-necked individual, had an unexceptional marriage. Philip, in contrast, became noticed for his unusual generosity to his wife, Joan. The pair had a considerable number of children in a short space of time, and Philip wrote numerous, if formulaic, love letters to his wife over the years. Meanwhile, Philip the Fair married his daughter Isabella to Edward II of England. Yeah, that is the beautiful woman that is on the thumbnail for yesterday's video. Yeah, and that is Isabella, Queen of France. It proved difficult, largely due to Edward's intimate relationship with his poofy friend and possible lover, Piers Gaveston. Do you get it? Right onto the hit list for the rich list members, and it's the same for Ant and Dec. They are covers for Archbishop Anton Dec. Right, so Isabella looked frequently to her father for help addressing the problems in her English marriage. During the visit, okay, the representation of the Tower de Nesle, it's like a prick, you get it? Where much of the adulterous activity was alleged to have occurred by Eugene Viollet-le-Duc. Most accounts, and that's the Eugenes again, that was used in the naming of the Tring Mansion. During the visit, Louis and Charles had had a satirical puppet show, this is the Sound of Music jokes, put on for their guests, and after this Isabella had given new embroidered purses both to her brothers and to their wives. Later in the year, Isabella and Edward held a large dinner in London to celebrate the return, and Isabella apparently noticed that the purses she had given to her sister-in-laws were now being carried by two Norman knights called Gaultier, the poof, and Philip Dawnay, who gets on the clock face. Do you get it? Yeah, all of it, a belly laugh, leads to them being massive media celebrities and millionaires. Yeah, and that is the Buchan family that were the Tweedsmuirs, that were the Governor Generals in Canada when Beaverbrook came to be our news manipulator, and trained in this region Lord Haw-Haw, Joycey of the Joyce families, that are the elite shipbuilders and coal miners in this region. Can you see how inbred the whole lot is? 5,000 families, and they own the entire world. There's the Sound of Music parody and the Muppet Show. The accusations centred on Philip IV placed the knights under surveillance for a period, and the scandal began to take shape. The accusations centred on suggestions that Blanche and Margaret had been drinking, eating and engaging in adultery with Gaultier and Philip Dawnay in the Tour de Nesle over a period. Yeah, do you get it? All of it is sexual innuendo, and that's the Old Guard Tower in Paris next to the River Seine, and had been bought where Princess Diana was killed. Bought by Philip V in 1308, the year Philip IV in 1308, the year that Longshanks died, yeah, at that place in Cumbria, something on Sands. Okay, some contemporary chroniclers have suggested that Philip IV's unpopular Chamberlain, Enguerrand de Marigny, that is Marine Le Pen, yeah, and all of it has been used through all of that time to cover up, yeah, all of this shameful history. It means that every queen across France can get their head lopped off by people like Henry VIII, that is in that bloodline, and is probably related to the Roman emperors that look like the actors that played Henry VIII and the man in the Jaws movie. might have been responsible for framing the knights and women involved. Yeah, that is, a court official has done that, and it leads to the beheading of all of the Stuart women, all of the Anne Boleyn characters, and even the burning of